Jan Bask Training. Learn and grow.
Guys, so let's start with the training session 7. So today's session we'll be talking about the BPMN, BPMN notations and how we're going to draw that out. So we'll be using the tool called Bizagi Balsamic. So this is the tool that we have from the company Bizagi. So what you simply need to do is go on Google and press it Bizagi Modeler and click on it. You will get the first URL as Bizagi Modeler free download. You need to simply click on it. And on that, there is a button called Download Bizagi Modeler. So you need to start downloading that. So something like that, a wizard window will come to you for installation of the shield, and I'm also doing parallelly there the same. And today we'll be talking about what is BPMN, what is the origin of BPMN, and what all the different notations related to BPMN are there, and what's its importance are. So now coming on to the first slide is BPMN. It's called as Business Process Models and Notation. So it's like a standard process modeling tool that's been used for graphical representation and notation. So whenever you want any techniques to show how the flow charting techniques that needs to show the activity, how the activities will be there, how you're going to perform those activities, by what you're going to perform those activities, how the UML will be there, how you're going to prepare those diagrams will all be done as part of the BPMN. So with the help of models and notations, you let client, you let stakeholders be aware about how the flow will be there, how the data will be flowing in. As O mentioned, right, how the process will be there. What is like once you're gonna sign in, what's gonna be the next screen? What's gonna be the next screen? How the data will be flowing in? Where will you making decisions? What will be the two decisions, right? So process flows help us out going into those directions. So the objective of the BPMN is to support the business processes, technical users, business users, protocols, and let able to help the complex scenario with the business process. So over here, the intention is suppose you want like something to be handled at the code, but now when you are dealing with the stakeholders, all of them are not technical persons. Most of them are from the business side. They know more about the business, how they're gonna generate revenue and all those things. But at the same time, they are well aware about that how it's gonna work in. But they are not aware about how you're gonna handle that at the code end. So in order to like take a look at all these things, we help them with the business processes. Like, hey, your data will be flowing like that. This is how it will be handled. This is where we're gonna have conditions like decision making boxes, call as prisms. We're gonna make some conditions, add some conditions, whether that condition gonna be yes or no, dependingly, we will take a next call. And this is how we keep on moving forward with the business processes so that all the business is even well aware about like what needs to be done next, how the flow will be there, how the user will be experiencing those flows or the processes, and dependingly we will move forward. So the primary goal of the BPM is to provide standard notation readily understandable by all business stakeholders. So it's like a standard notations, as Om even mentioned, whether it's like database they are creating it, whether they are creating in the IBM flow, or whatever that you're doing it, or I'm creating out some business flows, I'll be showing you those. Whatever you're gonna create it, it's gonna be all generic. So if we talk about business, so the notations that you guys gonna use in are very generic. So everybody is well aware about it. And being it's all in a pictorial manner, so people understand those things very well because it's to the point and clear that something like a flow needs to be there, and it's even bridging out a gap between the stakeholders and the other market people that are there in the calls, or like the business people that are who are involved in that. So coming on to the notations, we have like the start markers, the task, intermediate events, and the finish events, right? So guys, you must have see that's double line of it, like the shape makes the difference over here. So you have seen tasks. These are the two options related to tasks. These are the intermediate events. So you'll be seeing with two outer rings. Then you will be seeing another task. So wherever you will be seeing the square boxes with hedges, so please make sure that's a task. Anything you get it with a circle that's darkened means it's filled, right? It's the finish event. That's the darker one with the finish event. Whereas the red circle with it's always going to be the empty circle. It's going to be the start or like the start marker. So it's like an empty circle. So it doesn't have anything in between. So that shows the start marker. So now don't get with the colors that it would be always red and it would be always blue. So just to highlight you guys that what is the difference between that, I've made that out. But on like ground levels, all will be shown particularly like in black colors only. So you need to identify with the help of shapes. So I'm again repeating that anything that's in square with round edges are all tasks. Circle ones are the intermediate events, and the last one is the hunger satisfied, the darkened one, the finished ones. And this is how we're going to have the first one, which is like empty circle. That's the start marker. Moving on to the next, we have origin of BPMN. Business process model notations. Origin comes in from the Business Process Management Institute, BPMI. It's part of the OMG. Now, OMG is something a very important thing that we're going to talk about in the next slide. So it's developed about the XML process execution language. So this is more history about like where the BPMN comes in and how we have those. So there are majority of proprietary notations. On August 1st, the BPMN 35 companies are part of those. And within more than 10 years, BPN has multiple versions that started coming in with the OMG standards. And in 2011 we have two, and now it's like 3.7 we have available there in the market. That's the latest, and this is how they are keep on coming with their version ones. Now talking about OMG, what's that? OMG is Object Management Group. So the Object Management Group is an international open membership non-profitable standard group that helps you for creating visualized designs, executions, maintain softwares, aim for distribution orientations, and other company focused and model based standards. It's an object oriented group, object management group that helps you create certain diagrams, and it's a non profitable organization first. So there are different standards that they keep on coming up, and in the implementation cycle, or like if you talk about the understanding of it, everybody uses the same notation. It's a standard set up by the OMG companies, and they will be using out and guaranteed that the confirmation or the product they are making is correct as per the standards configuration. So Bizagi also uses the OMG standards. So it's well known there in the market, open source, and anybody can use that out. Let you know about these are the basic BPMN notations. Like we have the start event, that's the circle that I've told you, the empty circle, whereas the end event is like the dark circle. That's the end or the stop events. Then we have certain icons if you want to show any message that needs to be there. Sometimes we even have the events like timers. We need to add like database gonna take like 2 minutes to execute, or there is gonna be some jobs that needs to be run. It's gonna probably take like 1 or 2 minutes. So you can add a timer over there that you have to wait for 2 minutes, right? That shows the symbolize that there is some timer attached to it. Then we have some error icons if you want to let them know that probably in executing these files, these are usually being used out in databases like OM is suggesting now. If you want to show them like if that's not going to be executed, we'll be getting some error messages coming in. So that event symbolizes the error. Then we have certain links, and then we have the end events. Talking about events as one element, activities are other. Like generic activities, we call it as the activity events, where we are having a square box with edges. Task is also being called as. Then we have sub processes, where we're gonna have the outer boundaries with dotted lines, where you have processes, process in processes are there, are called as sub processes. Then we have transactions where we're going to show them with darker line with the inner internal lines. That's been used out in rare cases where you will be showing certain transactions that happening within one process under that one umbrella. In such cases, we're using that. Then we have the darken events where we are calling something and that we are getting from a third party, right? Or when we are calling from something outside, we are dependent upon before we execute it. So such cases, we are using this events as well. Then we have certain gateways, which is called as exclusive event, parallel event, inclusive events, exclusive event-based events, and parallel event-based events. So with this exclusive and the event-based, so you're gonna have the outer circle only, but you're gonna have the inner circle. So that is the difference that comes in. In the exclusive base, you're gonna have this cross with the same outer circle, whereas in the event base, you're gonna have square outer boundaries with a circle outside it. And then we have the connecting flows like the sequential flow, the message flow, and the associations that we uses for connect any one of the two events or any activities, gateways. We use the sequence flow, the message flow, and the association flows accordingly based upon our requirement. If we want to simply go with the flow of the data, we're using the sequential flow. If we want to associate with anything, we're going to use the dotted lines. And if we're going to have the message flows, we're going to use the dotted line with the circular at the end. So these are certain most important use elements that we are using in BPMN notations. So here are the few BPMN notations that are there from the Visio. So you guys can even draw the same diagrams from the tool Visio as well, like the tasks, gateways, events. So the snapshot is there from the Visio tool itself. So this is how the diagrams will be completely there on the tools. You simply need to click on it and drag and drop. Given notations, we have certain like tasks, gateways, intermediate events, messages, data flows, data objects. Depending upon your requirement, there are many. I've just taken few of them from the snapshots. But this is how any events you want, databases, if you want to talk about something needs to be stored. There are some pool and swim lanes, there are groups, there are data objects. So dependingly based upon like what's your data, what's your requirement, you're going to use those symbols. So moving further, to just help you with four basic categories of the BPMN rules are, we're going to have flow objects, that events, activities, and gateways that we right now talked about, the event, activities, and the gateways. Sequential flows that I've shown you, these are the sequential flows. Sequence flow, message flows, or the automation. Events are the ones, activities, and the gateways. So the swim lanes, message flows, and associations are the connecting objects. Swim lanes are nothing but the whole pool and lane that I'm gonna show you. That's gonna be our example even because that's the most important we used out in BPMNs usually. And the artifacts that comes out of it is like data objects, groups, annotations are the ones that we're going to use it for like creating the BPM and drawing diagrams. So this is how the pool looks like. So as you have aware about the swimming pool, right? So on the same grounds, that's the concept is there. You're going to have a big pool in a square shape. And in that, you're going to have different layers, or we call it as lanes. One lane, two lane, three lane, depending upon how much you want to interact with the system. This is how we're going to have different lanes in that. So now let's go to the diagram and we'll show you the creating out any one of them. But before that, this is just for your example purpose. Suppose you want a user, a developer, and administrator. You want to collaborate between three to in order to complete the process. So you must have seen, see, that's a complete pool, and I've highlighted out the lanes with different colors so you can better understand. So you can see different layers are there where you can name them. What is that layer? How your system gonna interact, and finally how you're gonna. So this process that's been shown here is like your bug is being reported. You need to verify the bug, fix it up, notify the administrator, and install it up. And this is how you're gonna end the event. Okay, so you must have seen over here that's a user. User sends across the notification to developer. As a message flow, you must have seen see a circle with this message. It checks for the decision making bug, whether it's yes or no. It fixes the bug. It sends the notification to administrator. So it's from second lane, it moves to third lane and again notifies the user and it goes back and the application ends up. And this is how you can draw, interact with the system. If you want to show your user like how the system gonna interact, how that's gonna happen. Similarly, anything like that, you're gonna create them up. So now let's go to that tool and draw this diagram. So now guys, this is like the basic UI or the Bizagi tool. So by default, it will be showing you this particular lane, right? And additional lanes, if you want to create it, you can create it by your own. But before that, let me give you a quick demo. So you have the file section from where you can click on that and click on save, open, depending upon. your requirements. And if you want to go with a new one, simply click on the new blank ones and it will help you out with all the tools information. Going back, we have home, different formats will be there if you want to look into different versions, right? So let me click on this zoom functionalities are there. You want to look into zoom option. You want to have certain names. You want to make some changes into the layouts, like you want to go with like column lanes, right? So you can that use that as well, right? If you want to align into grids, certain related informations around the settings will be even there. So how you want to further publish that, you can create it up and put it up in the format of a Word, PDF, Excel, web, as depending upon what your requirements are. If you want to export it out, you can directly export into image, video, and send it across to their clients, depending upon their requirements. Like if they want in video version, you can create that. If you want to download it like in any other version, any image format, or you want to export it, you can use that as well. There are certain tools that's going to help you up for attachment purpose or like for company's logo that even you can create it using this. So it's totally on your requirement how you want to move forward. So coming back to the home section, if you come in, so we have different diagrams, then we have settings related to text and all spelling mistakes, any sort of deletions or activities that you need to perform that can be handled from the top tabs. So now coming on to the main diagram. So let's take an example. Let's take the generic example that will help all everyone understand around creating the complete process of an Amazon, starting from buying a product to getting it shipped, or probably like the order being executed. So let's start with a fresh new one so that everybody will be there on the same page. This is gonna be the new event that I've created, a new model. So the moment you're gonna have this screens coming up, right? It's showing you by default the the pool. So this is called as pool. Okay. First, it will show you by your own. That means that the generic purpose over here to show the pool is creating the boundaries of your system. So within this pool, everything your execution will be there. So by default, the pool will be coming in, right? And what do you mean by that? Why it's there basically? The reason of having that is just because it's creating the system boundaries. So everything will remain under the system. It's not like that something is like lying over here, something is lying over here. No, it's all will remain under this boundaries. And what is the reason of doing that? It's the reason that there are system boundaries as well. It's not like that everything any from anywhere can come in and just enter that. It's on the security prospect as well that hey, we're gonna have something layers on which we're gonna interact. And based upon that interaction of layers, we're gonna start the event, we're gonna end the event, we're gonna execute the event, and this is how we're gonna achieve something. Starting with this pool, before I do anything, let me show you wherever you're gonna see the text, right? You simply need to double click on it and you will see the cursor comes in over there. So you can name that lane. Now you will see this will soon become a lane now. So you for the just consider for now this is a pool, and in the pool you will see consider this as one lane. So I've renamed as user. So now you will be seeing lanes over here. So you don't need to do anything. Click on this and drag it over here. You will see the other lane comes in. Again click on it, bring the third layer in, and you will see the second lane is in. If you want to make combinations like that, you can go. If you don't want to make combinations, like you don't want this version of like users having like that, don't go with that. Simply click Control Z and make sure you're using lanes in this manner. So this is how you must have seen that the layers will be there and different layers accordingly will be coming under each. So this is how your two lanes are even started coming in. So now that's lane one and that's lane two, right? If you want the third layer, just bring that up even. So you will see the third lane even is in. So just think about it. We now need to let the user know how the process will be. Instead of having all those verbal discussions, all those things that we discuss, hey, it's going to work like that. So before that, how your system going to works, and now you need to think in your mind like what will be the three difficult buckets or like the three different lanes will be there. So first, think about it. Some user is gonna be there who gonna interact with the system, right? And gonna order something. So just think about it. You're gonna have a user, that's lane one, and now this is the boundary of user. So I've seen this why the lane of concept is there. Now because you put it on the header as user. Now this is the only boundary for a user. So anything that a user is performing an activity will be forming under this lane, not under this lane. So why we have created out such BPMN diagrams is because when you clearly aware that user itself is going to do the 100%, then we don't require these diagrams. We can simply don't have any multiple layers and we can execute all of the stuff. But over here, in such cases, we want multiple layers, or the user wants to interact with multiple things in order to execute an event. For doing so, you need to make sure you have all these multiple layers are there, right? So you're gonna have first as layer as user. Now think about it. What the user gonna do? Where he gonna interact? So he gonna interact with the system. So let's make second layer as system. And now the third layer is gonna be warehouse slash inventory management. So probably now you get a better idea what the picture we are trying to create is. We have an Amazon app where we're gonna have users. You're gonna interact with the system. System gonna interact with the warehouse and inventory management system. And this is how we're gonna execute a complete event. So just now think about it. We now started creating out a picture at how gonna it works, how it not gonna work, right? What all the steps that are involved on a high level. So the user comes in, he looks for a product, he checks the inventory whether it's available or not, right? Look for the nearest warehouse, and in the moment we give them a result, execution times takes in, and post that we end the event. Correct? This is how it even happens on Amazon, the processes. Or it's anything different that you guys are not agreeing with me. Can someone please come up if it's not there? Because just thinking now, when we are drawing a diagram, we need to make sure we are creating the business logics within our mindset as well. So because we need to now explain client, and with this diagram, we're going to do that. And this is how we call it as like, instead of talking verbally, we have something there on the grounds in form of pictures or visualization forms that help anyone understand things better compared to anything else. So now let's start with certain events. So we're gonna have start events. You don't need to do anything. Just click on that and drag it over here. So you're gonna have start event. Now you must have seen, see, it's already showing you all these things. So it's saying if you want to use any one of them, just simply click on it and drag it in front of you and it will be there. So the red icon that you're seeing at the last is like the end event. This is the decision making one, gateways. These are the tasks we talk about. And now, since I've shown you multiple tasks, you need to click on this arrow and it will show you the other ones as well. The business one, the send message, receive task, user task, none task. Okay. So if you want to go into more detail, like which one we really wanted, like for this, even if you want to go with events, right? Click on this. It will show you all the other events, like the time event, the exclusive event, parallel event, multiple events, timer events, all those things are shown over here, right? Similarly, if you want to take a look at the sub processes, you will see this sub process, reusable sub processes. All those options will be there in the drop downs. Then we have these connection objects. If you want a dotted line, you want to see the associations, you want to help them up with a message flow, all those will be there. These are certain databases. If you want any image to be added at the background, you can do that. You want to add any special text, formatted text, you can do that. And similarly, there are multiple other and the settings that you want to use it. So all will be there in that. Okay. So let's first talk about, we started out an event. We started doing the task. The first task that's going to come by its own, since we're going to considering an Amazon website as an example. So the moment we start an event, user sign ins. So now think about it. User started out an event. User signs into the website. And what is going to be the next page that's going to be there? The home landing page, right? So let's create another short thing, and I think it's gonna consume our more spaces. You simply make it in front of it and the arrow will be straight in by its own. Okay. Now we're gonna have landing page. So go step by step so that client can understand. Don't go with that you are making too much steps. Let's write it home page. So try to give as much details as you can possible, guys. That's gonna help them up. Landing page. Okay. So now the user comes in, he logs in, and he there on the landing page, right? Now what the third thing he gonna do? So let's have another task that's he gonna do. So now you've seen, see, I'm not going with drag and drops. I'm getting all these options by its own in front of it. I'm just using them simply. And we have all of them, tasks, decisions, because these are the 5 common ones that usually people use it up, right? So if you want, you can have the another copy of it. If you don't want, you can just click on Control Z, it will be there. If you want any other thing, you can go back as well. So that's completely on you. If you don't want, you can delete it up as well. So simply click on it and click delete. It will be out. Okay, so now coming on this, search. So now the user comes in, he looks on the landing page, he search the products, right? Once he did that activity, right? What's gonna be the next step? So you gonna need to have a database now in picture. And why? Let me tell you. The moment you click on search, right, or anywhere on any website, a request goes to database and check what we have similar product by that name, and then they're going to use that learning methods of like you simply write it up iPhone, even if you write it up 11, right? So they have this search functionalities. You must have seen, you write it up anyway, it gives you the guesses from where that comes in. So these are search languages that's been put out with keywords and certain other things, but where actually that's been stored. So that request has been stored out in your databases. So the moment you're going to click 11 and you're going to click enter, or you're going to search iPhone 11 and click enter, the request goes to the databases. But how that happens in technicality, it sends across the moment you put down that text in the search, it sends across a request to the database asking, hey, client is looking out for iPhone 11. What we have related to that in our databases. And based upon that only, it will even search you the recommended options as well as related products like that. Whatever is being set out using our language search objects in that particular databases. So the moment now you search, a request gonna go. So now you need to decide which request will come in picture. It's not like a flow that has been used out for activity. Is this going to be a message flow? And you just need to bring it up and use its last option like that and simply click on that. And the moment you're gonna click on that and you're gonna use it up. So now what I did is I created out a linkage and it's a sequential flow, right? The message flows that search is done. We look out for database and let's make our database a bit bigger so that it should look like that we have a lot of data here. Okay. And now you have seen, now we have created the linkage between lane 1, we have moved out to lane 2 now. See, now we are on lane 2 and we are in system and we are interacting with the system with the database. What is going to be the next steps, guys, now? We're gonna get the search results. In simple language, we can say the search results or the product results. So now with the next steps, the moment we're gonna get search result, there will be one product that would be highlighted and the rest will be there as recommended. So now we're gonna have a decision box. And now why decision box? Let me tell you. Just think about it, your experiences on Amazon or in generic even talk about like what is gonna be there. The moment you put down request to the database, hey, search my product, right? You're gonna search and give you the results. The moment you're going to have your results, it's going to give you a complete set of results on your page. That will be having one product that has been described with all its reviews, descriptions, everything, product price, everything, right? But the others will be there at the lower bottom with recommended, or like it would be similar products, recommended products, and everything. Now over here, the decision box comes in picture, that whether the highlighted product you want to buy it or not. This is where you're going to go with that condition of yes and no. You have that product decision coming in. Two options that may arise of it, whether you want to, yes, you want to take it or you don't want to. Now the product decision comes in and you now need to have again two tasks associated to it. You need to help me like squeezing out, not squeezing out, like elongated this lanes. So now when you need to write down on the arrows, you simply need to click on this, double click on this arrows. It will be highlighted and start typing. And it will be, the details will be shown over there. So now you search the results, product decision comes in picture, yes and no are the two options. You select it, buy a product or look for other options. So now you are there on the stage. When you're going to buy, you're not going to buy, you're going to make a decision whether you want to buy it or not, right? Suppose we consider a situation that you're going to buy it up. So what is going to be now the next request? Now what is going to be have for that? It's going to be a sub process, right? A reusable sub process will be there now. And just select this red dot and just bring this up over here. Okay. So now what has happened over here is, let me even add a point here, that look for inventory and shipping address. Why I've added shipping address as well, and I've used it out as sub process. The reason of doing it, once you buy a product, right, three activities you need to do parallelly. That's the reason I've used the flow that I've used it, right? It's the association. So we are associated to this while taking a final call. And why I used it out of sub process, the reason is sub processes mean three decisions will be taken in under this. First, if I want to buy a product, how many inventories I have? You're gonna give me that result. First thing. Second thing, whatever the area pin code or like any zip code that I've entered, whether we are delivering that, it's gonna give me the result of the two parallelly with that execution, right? The moment we click on buy, it's gonna ask for like how many quantity you want to buy it. Before whatever is being shown to us, they check in their inventory whether we really have. Parallelly, they are even checking out. That's why I mentioned this lane name as warehouse slash inventory. So over here, looking out for the warehouse and the inventory part, and do we have both of them? They look out for that. So the warehouse person will be identifying whether we are delivering at the zip code, and the inventory person will be looking out how many inventories we have. Maybe client wants to buy 10 iPhones. Maybe he wants to buy 50 iPhones. Maybe he wants to buy 100 iPhones. There are no limitations. Until unless you guys have not put it up, there is no business rule. But whatever the maximum business rule will be there, you're going to add those up. This sequential flow I've written up in the same response only, they will be getting the response coming in. That is the reason of using the association over here and sequential flows over here. Now, we have completed the scenario. Now we finally decided, right? We got the results. I want to buy this product, right? Now again, let's go back. So because since we have made this association from the same association, from the same sub process, we got the results even back to the product that we need to buy it or we don't want to. Now there is going to be a new task that's going to come in over here, which is called as your cart. See, now you're going to add the normal association. Add the last option as payments, and finally we're gonna have an end event. And now this where is this event gonna be coming in? At the user level only. An association, now the only association will be there, right? That payments are done, inventory is being checked out, every detail is in, and we end the event with the notification. Order confirmation. Okay. So whenever you're creating such diagrams, you need to make sure you're not leaving any association untagged, right? And even write it up. Let's write it up. Amazon database. So by this process, we are helping a client understand how the user gonna come in, how you're gonna buy the product. If not gonna buy the product, what the repeated activities you're gonna do, and finally how you're gonna make the payments and end an event. So this is what the picture we are right now giving them. Not talk about returns. These will be part of these diagrams only. But right now we are just looking out for a use case that we are creating is like how the user gonna shop on website. Okay. And with this pictorial diagrammentation, the client will be able to get every information that what you gonna do, how the user experience gonna be there, and how he gonna end the event. And parallelly, you need to even make sure what is going to be the user experience with very limited amount of steps. Okay, guys, so that's all we have for today.
Janbass Training. Learn and grow.